Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. As you know, I've been reading a few paragraphs from each chapter of my book, Tesla and the Cabbage Patch Kids, which is about the fall of the Tartarian Empire. This week we are on chapter 12, which is all about orphans and the Orphan Train Movement. Before I go into the book, I would like to ask anybody if they're interested in having a little wander around London and looking at some Tartarian architecture. I was thinking about hiring a room at the Grand Lodge of the United Kingdom, which is in Queen Street in the city, and then having a look around and seeing what we can find. So if anyone's interested, I'm thinking March at some point. Get in touch. You can email me or send me a message or comment, and we'll see what we can do. As many of you know, I'm a master Freemason. I haven't been for over a decade now, and having put this book out there, I don't know how well I would be received, but they don't need to know any of that. I just wanted to see if we could get a tour of the building, because a lot of people won't be aware, but if you Google Earth the Grand Lodge of the United Kingdom in London, then you'll see that it's actually built in the shape of a coffin, and inside it's like Hogwarts. I've been in there hundreds of times, and I'd love to show people around. I thought it'd be a good place to meet, and from there we can have a wander around and look at some other architecture, and go for a beer and then get to know each other. Anyway, just a thought. So get in touch if you're interested. Anyway, here we go. Chapter 12, which is Orphans and the Orphan Trains. Have you ever wondered when orphanages first opened their doors? Well, according to history books, they date back as far as 400 AD with the Romans and Greeks. In fact, Athenian law ensured that any child whose parents were killed in battle were cared for by the state until they reached 18 years old. Even good old Plato said orphans should be placed under the care of public guardians. However, they didn't really become that popular until the mid-1800s. Here in England, the very first example was the Orphan Working School in Hampstead, London, which opened its doors in 1758 and was established by, yes, you've guessed it, a church minister and backed by a group of gentlemen from London. This was followed by the Bristol Asylum for Poor Orphan Girls in 1795, which I find particularly concerning due to it being solely for girls. What happened to the boys? And God alone knows what happened to the girls that were incarcerated there. In the early 1700s, we are told that orphan children swarmed like locusts in the street, and this resulted in the establishment of workhouses and working schools. One London workhouse opened as far back as 1698 and forced children to earn their keep by spinning wool and repairing clothes. Orphanages didn't really peak in demand or necessity until the end of the 1700s and the start of the 1800s, when there was an actual boom in homeless children. This ties in nicely with the Napoleonic and Civil Wars, which cost the lives of hundreds of thousands of men across the world, with particular emphasis on countries under the rule of the British Empire. As mentioned in the previous chapter, a widow would almost always lose custody of her children following the death of their husband. With so many ridiculous reasons you could be committed for, it was an inevitability, if you were a widow, that your children would end up orphans sooner or later. Once inside, they would be given a very basic education, a new version of history, and often a new name too. The London Foundling Hospital became home to an estimated 100,000 infants by 1894. Between 1776, yes, it's that magic year again, and 1918, a further 69 orphanages and foundling homes were founded in England alone. The Oddfellows took control of the orphans in the heavily populated city of New York in 1853 and created their very own educational system. The greatest showman in the world, P.T. Barnum, was given the task of how to redistribute these children across the country. Barnum was a founding member of the Oddfellows, a master Freemason, and lived in one of the most incredible Tartarian Moorish buildings in the whole of America. Barnum then conspired with Charles Loring Brace to start placing out these children using the railway networks, which sent them to the Midwest in what is now known as the Orphan Train Movement. Meanwhile, the true children of America's Old World were sent to orphanages and child asylums to be re-educated and westernized, with their history, heritage, and even native tongue removed completely. If this didn't work, they either remained incarcerated for the rest of their lives, or were quite simply killed. Between 1854 and 1929, an estimated 250,000 children were transported by train from New York and Philadelphia to the Midwest, which represents literally 6% of the population of the city during this period. At the same time, Britain was actually exporting children to Canada, with numbers estimated to be over 100,000, and in addition to this, a further 150,000 Aboriginal and Native Canadian children were also sent to orphanages and foundling homes. Some sources suggest that the total number of children sent to Canada reached 500,000 by the time the orphan train ceased to operate. Today, the bodies of many of these children are still being discovered within the grounds. So there you go, just a few paragraphs from my book. If you haven't yet got a copy of it and you'd like a signed one, get in touch. It's also available on Amazon, and there's an ebook too, and at the end of the month there will also be an audiobook available. So it's goodbye from me. I will see you all again soon, and if you are interested in meeting up in London in March, please get in touch. Bye for now.